I will not call the effect a cause. I cannot and I must not. The spectacle on the screen of body or bank book, of family or nation, is not a self-existent power. It is an image projected by thought, received by belief, and magnified by fear. Therefore, I refuse it jurisdiction. I refuse it the crown. I stand here and I say to myself, with the tenderness of truth and the firmness of law, judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. I in this instant assume conscious dominion at the door of thought. I assume it not as a swashbuckler, not as a noisy demonstrator, but as the porter who knows his office and keeps his post. Why must I speak so? Because if I take a condition as cause, I enthrone a lie and then plead with it as a subject pleads with a tyrant. If I accept pain as cause, lack as cause, age as cause, contagion as cause, I surrender my birthright and wander as a victim in my own house. I cannot permit this condition to govern me. I cannot let an echo pose as a voice, nor a shadow declare the light, for the Scripture has spoken, and I seal it to my own heart. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. If that is so, then want cannot be a cause. If I take it as cause, I have traded shepherd for specter. No, I insist that what presents itself as my problem is an effect-seeking adoption papers in my consciousness. It knocks, it pleads, it threatens, it seduces, but it has no father in God and therefore no authority in me. There is one cause, hear it, I am that I am, not two, not God and some other power, not spirit and some contrary activism, only I. Therefore I stand the watch and I speak to thought, to sensation, to report. Be still and know that I am God. Not be busy, not be fearful, be still. In that stillness I discover that the drama had no engine, it borrowed mine. It lived by my consent, and I withdraw that consent now. Now, do you remember that I did not say my human will refuses, my personal cleverness refuses? No, my conscious oneness with the One refuses, and there is a difference as wide as heaven and earth. The gentle eye refuses gently, firmly, without argument, without heat, without bravado. This refusal is the first act of healing. This is the crossing of the threshold out of bondage. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. I stand and I see, because I have ceased to feed the appearance with the dignity of causation. I make a vow for this hour and the next. I will not permit a condition to name itself power in my thought. I will not narrate it, rehearse it, and then pretend I am seeking God to fix it. I will not invent a second cause and then pray to the first to overrule it. There is no second cause. I am thy life, saith the Spirit. Because I and the Father are one, I cannot be at the mercy of that which has no Father. And now the question upon which this whole journey turns arises right here at the door. If the condition is never cause, what then am I dealing with, and where must recognition occur? I am dealing with an effect without engine, a garment without wearer, a picture without painter, until I lend it mine. And where must recognition occur? Not out on the limbs of the tree of appearances, but at the root within this awareness that says I, within this sanctuary where cause is felt as presence, and presence proves itself as harmony. Therefore I keep my post. I speak softly and finely. No effect may claim the throne. I am the porter at the door of thought, and I admit only the one who is cause. Now comes the great reversal, without which no healing can be permanent and no peace can be maintained. Conditions are not causes, they are effects. They are projections seeking a host. They are echoes hunting for a voice to borrow. They are letters without a writer until I lend them my pen. Therefore, the battlefield is never out there on the screen of event and symptom. The field is within consciousness at the gate of consent, in that holy of holies where cause is presence and presence is cause. I then cannot be thrown from my center by the clamor of effect. I stand, I abide, I recognize. And in recognition, the pretender loses its crown. Let me say it plainly so the mind cannot wiggle free. A condition is an effect looking for your agreement to pose as a cause. Fear is not a power, it is a suggestion. Disease is not a creator. It is a claim leaning on your belief for oxygen. Lack is not a law, it is a rumor that grows loud only when entertained. These are impersonal motions of world thought, hypnotisms, mesmerisms, suggestions, walking through the earth, seeking embodiment. They are not personal enemies with swords. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, not because I am clever at fencing with it, but because in the light of one cause the very metallurgy of that weapon fails. It rusts in the recognition. It cannot cut what it cannot touch, and it cannot touch the eye that is cause. Now I know a voice will rise that says, are you telling me to deny what my eyes and nerves report? I do not say deny the occurrence. I say deny its alleged parentage. I do not close my eyes to the wind. I deny that wind is a cause to the eye that says, peace, be still. Christ Jesus did not pretend the storm was not lashing the boat. He refused it the dignity of causation in the presence, and the waves bowed. He did not hate the sea. He revealed its non-power before the one. Get thee behind me, Satan, is not addressed to a person. It is said to suggestion, to the lying claim of second power. I then am not asked to be blind. I am asked to be true. Judge not according to appearance, but judge righteous judgment is not a poetic flourish. It is a method of cause. Understand the order and you will rest. Consciousness does not rise out of conditions. Conditions rise out of consciousness. The mind is the lens, and the world appears upon it according to the light or haze at the lens. The rain falls on the just and on the unjust. One field calls it blessing and yields bread. Another calls it blight and yields complaint. Do not stop at psychology. This is not the human mind bending matter. This is the revelation that the I within me, the I that is the Father expressing itself as my being, is the only animating presence, law, and cause. In Him we live and move and have our being. I then am not dependent upon tides of chance, but upon the unwithholdable nature of I. When I forget this and let world thought squat in my house, I will see its furniture. When I remember and evict the trespasser, harmony reappears as natural law because its cause has never moved. Therefore, if the cause is mistaken, the cure is not more struggle with the condition. The cure is recognition. I do not wrestle with shadows on the wall. I turn to the light. I do not plead with God to enter a room already filled with God. I become still enough to know I am. I am the Lord, and there is none else. In that knowing, the effect that came seeking adoption cannot find a signature. It returns to its native nothingness, not because I have conquered it by force, but because I have refused to father it. This is the great reversal, and it is the beginning of rest. I, in this instant, maintain my God-given dominion by letting cause be cause and leaving effects to follow. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Not your duel with symptoms, but your recognition that only the one is cause, and that one is the I in the midst of me. I stand here the porter at the door of thought. I stand here a tiler over my mind and over my body. Nothing shall enter to defile unless admitted by my consent as truth or power. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. I take that as my charge. I do not wander from my post. I do not permit the world to set up housekeeping in me. If I am absent from this door, the house is not empty, the house is furnished by whatever knocks the loudest, and so I stand. I assume conscious dominion in this instant, not as a swaggering sentinel, but as the gentle eye that knows its source. Be sober, be vigilant is not a caution against people, it is instruction to watch the gateway of consent. Now, how does the so-called problem find its way in? It rarely comes shouting its name. It arrives as a breeze of thought, a headline, a friend's fear, a memory that was not finished with forgiveness, a sensation in a muscle, a number on a screen. The mind, trained by the world, picks up this traveling rumor and stamps it mine. There is the moment. There is the adoption. My anxiety, my illness, my shortage. Do you hear the oath that is spoken when you use that pronoun? You have married the suggestion to your I. You have given it papers with your signature. Now, do you remember that I did not say, stop feeling? I said, stop naming it with your holy name. The first consent is in the mouth. Set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the door of my lips. If I will not give it my I, it cannot live in me. Nothing from without a man that entering into him can defile him, said the Master. It is the within that accepts and labels that gives it seeming power. Listen carefully. The word my is a hook. It drags the suggestion into the sanctuary and seats it on the throne. Do not do it. Do not dignify a passing rumor with the seal of your identity. Say what you see without swearing fealty to it. A fear is presenting itself. A pain is making a case. A rumor of lack is knocking. I do not struggle with it. I question its credentials. Who sent you? By what authority do you speak? Are you of the one cause, or a beggar at the gate asking for my stamp? Get thee behind me, is said to that which demands I bow. It is not spoken to a person. It is the porter's refusal to grant audience. Now, let me bring it into the scenes, you know. The phone rings. A friend is in panic about layoffs. If I am asleep at the gate, I hang up and say, my job is in danger, and the body obediently rehearses fear. But if I am at my post, I hear the report, and I answer inwardly, my employment is not in man. I am employed by I. I will not handle another's fear as my cause. A twinge crosses the chest. If I am absent, I christen it my heart, and I submit to the procession of terrors. If I am present, I say, a sensation is bidding for identity. I refuse it, my. I stand still, I remember the one cause, and the claimant cannot find a host. A headline shrieks scarcity. I can echo it as my shortage, or I can keep the gate and say, this is a world thought knocking. I refuse to father it. Do you see the transition? When I know where the claim enters, I stop fighting it on the body level. I meet it at admission. I do not command the flesh. I address the porter. I return authority to where it belongs. In recognition, I do not treat the muscle. I strip the oath of my from the suggestion, and it withers. Job confessed, the thing which I greatly feared has come upon me. Fear was made father, and the child appeared. I withdraw paternity. I refuse to let fear be cause. I stand here quietly, gently, steadily, and I let the one be cause. Then effects must follow, and they will follow harmony, because harmony is what the one is. And if, as sometimes happens, I wake to find the beggar already in my kitchen, I do not condemn myself. I escort him to the door, I reclaim my post, and I seal my lips against the pronoun that empowers him. I say within, I am the porter at the door of thought, and I admit only the Holy One. Now I must place a guard at a subtler door. Having learned to refuse adoption papers to a condition, I must not now take that refusal and hand it to a little king called Joel, crown him, and send him striding through my universe with a sword of declarations. I will not make an idol of I. I will not turn the holy name into a banner for an egoic parade, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Therefore I refuse the swashbuckling I. I choose the gentle I. I submit the personal sense to the one presence's cause, and I abide there quietly, reverently, effectively. Make the distinction clear. Joel can do nothing. Joel cannot heal, cannot fix, cannot save. I can of mine own self do nothing, said the Master, and by that confession the works flowed. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. That is my model. When I say I do not mean the personality that learned phrases and techniques. I mean the one that is closer than breathing, the I that rises from the chest like a living hush. If I feel heat in the face and a hunger to show, to prove, to dominate, I know at once that the little self has stolen the garments of the holy and is playing hero. I put up the sword. Put up thy sword into the sheath. I withdraw into the silence where cause is presence and presence is cause, and I let the works bear witness without my trumpet at the corner. Humility in this way is not a performance. It is accuracy. The gentle I does not strive. He shall not strive, nor cry. Neither shall any man hear his voice in the streets. The gentle I does not argue with appearances, nor with people, nor even with thoughts. It simply will not grant them causation. It is steady. It is lowly. Learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. Rest follows the gentle I, because the gentle I is recognition, not manufacture. I am not generating power. I am ceasing from the pretense that power was ever mine to generate. I rest in the one I am, and effects answer to their cause without my pushing. Now I will confess for your safety and for mine. I have had my times when the thrill of truth in the mouth tempted me into swashbuckling I ams, and the very energy that came out of the chest leaped up into the head and dressed itself with pride. For a little while it may even work, as lights and noises sometimes impress a child, but it does not heal. It excites. It does not establish. It inflates. And then it collapses. And with it collapses the peace that was my obedience. I know this path. I know how to snap out of it. I return to the simple actuality. I, of myself as person, am nothing. I, as the presence of God being itself here, am all. I speak little. I admit no witness but the quiet. I stand the watch as the porter, not as the sheriff. Keep a sign before the inner eye. Do not convert the truth of oneness into a technique of human mastery. If I am trying to fix, to coerce, to prove a point to a neighbor, to win an argument with a symptom, I have already slipped into idolatry. I have carved an image of I and bowed before it. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. The other God may be a second power. It may also be a first-person power, misidentified as me. I retire from that altar. I go back to the green pastures. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. The still waters are where recognition occurs. There words thin. There the sword grows heavy and drops from the hand. There the gentle I becomes palpable, and the condition, finding no bravado to quarrel with, loses its stage. This is the safeguard that carries us forward. When the ego has laid down its claim to authorship, recognition is free to dawn of itself. because the mind is no longer trying to manufacture power. I will not be a manufacturer. I will be a witness. I will not be a crusader. I will be a porter. I will not aim the name like an arrow. I will breathe it as life. Be still and know that I am God. In that stillness, the one cause reveals itself as the only law of my being, and the swashbuckler, having no audience, quietly exits. Now I am ready to face any condition without granting it authority, because I am no longer trying to supply authority of my own. I have yielded, and in the yielding I have found the only strength that heals. Now I take you into the quiet surgery, without which all our fine sentences remain embroidery on air. I cannot permit vocabulary to hide me from presence. I must strip the words. The mind is very clever at keeping God as a 3-letter token, spirit as a 6-letter mist, truth as a 5-letter badge, and behind these polite sounds, the fear still runs its circuits. The pulse still submits to a rumor. The bank book still rules like Pharaoh. I know this trick. I have played it. I have spoken great words and then wondered why the heart did not rest, because I had not yet met cause. I had only paraded names. This people draweth nigh unto me with their mouth, and honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. I cannot endure that distance. I will not be content with lips. I must come to the heart. So I begin to let go. God gone. Spirit gone. Christ gone. Truth gone. Law gone. I do not discard reality. I release the concepts that bar the door to it. I am not becoming godless. I am abandoning the idols that wore holy labels. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, and a word can be a graven image if the mind clutches it to avoid surrender. I let the big words fall like autumn leaves. I wait until even the sound of them grows thin. Now, yes, the mind will grow uneasy, will snatch at a phrase to feel secure. No, I remain. I remain until the thought stream tires of itself and the hush underneath begins to be felt. And then I discover there is one word I cannot throw away. I have tried. I cannot rid myself of I. Not the noisy I of the head, not the swashbuckling I that postures on the stage, but the living I that rises up from the chest like a warmth, like a nearness. It is closer than breathing. It is prior to thinking. It speaks without syllables. It does not argue. It is. Before Abraham was, I am. Do you feel how different that is from the head reciting a verse? The head quotes, the heart knows. The head pushes, the chest yields and reveals. This I is the doorway, the irreducible. The kingdom of God is within you, not within your dictionaries, not within your theologies, within you as this living I that cannot be named away. Now let me make it concrete. I sit and I let the words fall. I attend to the simple sense of being that remains. Where is it? It is here, in the center, in the breast, in the very place the breath seems to pass through. I do not strain to feel it. I notice it. I do not make it. I discover it was here before the noticing. I rest my awareness there as one would rest a hand upon the trunk of a great tree and feel life moving without one's effort. In that resting, a change takes place that is not the result of debate. A condition presents its case at the edge of awareness. It waives its documents, its dates, its pain, its sums, and I find that I have no courtroom to offer it. I am not answering it. I am not fighting it. I am abiding in I. Be still and know that I am God. In that still knowing, the claimant cannot find cause. It is reclassified without a trial. It becomes what it always was, an effect without engine, a tale without teller, until I lend it mine. Do you see the swiftness of this? The mind wants steps. The spirit reveals presence. When the living eye is felt, the scales tip of themselves. The sensation that shouted, "I am your ruler," is seen to be a passerby at the gate, and the porter within does not move. The fear that said, "I am your future," is recognized as a sentence demanding your voice to speak it. Without your voice, it has no sound. The word is nigh thee, even in thy mouth and in thy heart. I choose the wordless knowing beneath the mouth. I choose the I, the God as being as me. I and my Father are one, not two powers negotiating, but one presence recognized. I insist upon this practice of stripping until only I remains. I do it gently, steadily, many times a day, until the habit forms and the mind's addiction to religious terms begins to weaken. I do it because I must live by cause, not by slogan. And as I do, I witness the quiet miracle. Where I would have fought a condition, I now watch it lose its stage. Where I would have begged for answers, I now find there is no question left to ask. The living eye has taken the throne, and effects, having no other father, align themselves with harmony. In this I am safe. In this I am fed. In this I am the bread of life to my own experience and to all who touch this presence with me. Now let us walk this out together. Take one thing that is presently knocking only one. Do not go fishing in yesterday. Do not prophesy tomorrow. Take what is here. A pain in the shoulder, a swirl of anxiety before a meeting, a number on a bill, the tightness that comes with an unresolved word between you and a beloved. Hold it right before awareness, the way you would hold a photograph up to a window. No dramatizing, no commentary, simply the picture as it is being shown. I stand beside you in this. I stand as the porter at the door. I keep my post. Now name what is showing itself, but do not christen it with your holy name. Not my pain, not my panic, not my shortage. Use the language of observation, not possession. A pain is presenting itself. An anxiety is visiting. A number is making a claim. A tension is asking for stage. Do you see the difference? I am acknowledging the appearance, but I will not invite it to sit on the throne. Set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the door of my lips. I set that watch. I keep the door. I let the picture be seen without granting it papers of authority. Now the old habit rises to demand an inquest. Why is this happening to me? What does this say about my life, about my body, about my future? I refuse that interrogation. I will not consult a shadow for truth. I will not ask a rumor to tell me who I am. Instead, I take the corrective question. What is this a picture of, and what did I accept as cause? I am not hunting for a culprit in matter. I am asking after a consent in consciousness. I am looking for the moment I bowed to a second power, however politely, and let it wear my eye. Judge not according to appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment asks after cause, not noise. Let us do it now with the thing in your hand. If it is pain, say within, a sensation is before me. I do not deny it. I deny its claim to father me. I do not ask it what I am. I ask what picture is it, and what suggestion did I admit as cause. If it is anxiety, say, emotion in the nerves is seeking identity. I do not enthrone it. I refuse the oath of my. What whisper did I take for law? If it is money, say, a figure is on a page, it is a figure only. What did I accept as source besides the one? The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. Therefore this figure is not my Lord. I do not bow. Do you feel how this keeps the gaze steady and the heart unarmed? I am not fighting the picture. I am refusing to read the world's caption beneath it. I let the image be shown against the light of the One. I hold it while abiding in I. Be still and know that I am God. In that still knowing, I do not negotiate with the condition. I simply withdraw my consent to its authorship. I keep my questions within the sanctuary of cause. What did I accept as cause? Where did I let a rumor stand in for law? And at the first hint that the old habit wants to narrate doom or diagnose me by the picture, I answer quietly, no, I do not consult you for truth. I and my Father are one. There is no second power here to advise me about myself. I will tell you how I learned this. Many times an ache would step forward with a script, and I, half asleep, would begin to act it out. But in the moments I remembered to rename it, a sensation is speaking, a rumor is knocking, and then asked that one question about cause, the wind left its sails. Not always in a flash, but faithfully, because I had removed its only engine, my agreement. Take no thought for your life is not apathy. It is refusal to enthrone effects as lawgivers. I take no thought of them as cause. I take thought only to recognize the One. Hold your picture this way for one quiet minute more. Name it without granting it my. Let it be seen, but do not ask it who you are. Ask instead what it is a picture of and what cause you subtly adopted. I will not rebuke you if you cannot yet see the answer. I do not need the answer to begin. I only need to relocate the seat of authority, and that we are doing now. We are moving the struggle off the screen of the condition and returning to the altar of recognition. In this very turning, something loosens. The beggar at the gate finds no host. The porter remains unmoved, and the heart, remembering its source, becomes ready for the next uncovering, to find the hidden oath to a false cause and withdraw it gently, finally, in the light of the One. Now we take the next step, and we take it very quietly. I conduct a causal audit. I ask, what am I treating as power? Not what I say I believe on Sundays, but what my attention worships when the picture grows loud. I check the altars of my thought. Is it body? Is it a bank account? Is it a person's favor or displeasure? Is it the past, a diagnosis, time, heredity, the economy, a mood in the nerves? Thou shalt have no other gods before me. That is not a slogan. It is an audit. Wherever I secretly bow for permission to be whole, there I have enthroned a second power. Let me make it simple and frank. If I am watching the body as if it had a will of its own, counting its twinges, researching its meanings into the night, I am treating body as cause. If I am staring at numbers and forecasting doom, refreshing screens as if they were oracles, I am treating money as cause. If my day rises or falls on a person's tone, a boss's email, a doctor's phrase, I am treating man as cause. Cease ye from man, whose breath is in his nostrils. If I rehearse the past until it hardens into fate, I am treating time as cause. If I tell myself I was born this way, my mother had it, my father had it, I am treating heredity as cause. Call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father. If I say, when the market changes, when the season turns, when I get through this month, then I will have peace, I am treating calendar and economy as cause. And if I insist I must figure it out and turn truth into analysis on a loop, I am treating thought as cause. Even spiritual research can become idolatry if it substitutes accumulation for recognition. Attention becomes agreement. What I watch as authority, I consent to as law. Now I show you how I withdraw that consent without warfare. I take the claimant one by one, and I say within, gently, finally, this has no law, no intelligence, no authority, no continuity. Be cause. Cause is not in effect. I do not scold the body. I release it from being my God. I breathe and say, body, you are effect. I do not consult you for truth. Who by taking thought can add 1 cubit unto his stature? I do not consult money. I let it be effect. I whisper, figures have no will, supply is I. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. I do not consult man. I honor the neighbor, but I refuse him deity. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. I do not consult yesterday or tomorrow. I say, time cannot father me. Before Abraham was, I am. I do not consult heredity. I say, the lineage of I is God. Nothing else has seed in me. Every plant which my heavenly Father hath not planted shall be rooted up. I do not consult my mood. I say, sensation is not law, and feeling is not cause. I abide in I. You will notice as you do this that the engine noise begins to drop. It is not fireworks, it is a hush. Consent is oxygen to the rumor. You are withdrawing oxygen. I am not forcing a result, I am releasing a usurper. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Standing still is the mark that consent has been withdrawn. The mind, finding no throne to defend, grows quiet enough for impartation. Recognition replaces analysis. Where I had questions, there is a presence. Where I had forecasts, there is a now. The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. Do not make a spectacle of this. Make it sacred. In the very moment the thought rises to research, to Google, to rehearse, to argue, to plead, say softly within, I will not treat an effect as cause. I withdraw my consent. I return to I. I rest a hand, as it were, upon the center of the chest, and I feel life living without my supervision. Then see how the beggar's voice loses its edge. The spell was not the picture. The spell was the hidden oath to a second power. When that oath is dissolved, the question that fed on it cannot survive. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. This is that peace, not answer against answer, but cause shining so clearly that the need for an answer is gone. Now I take from the rumor its favorite mask, a face to hate. Let me repeat, for your peace and for mine, error is impersonal. There is no bad person to carry your fear, and there is no bad you to be condemned. There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus. Condemnation is not a sacrament, it is a consent to a second power dressed in moral language. I will not sign that consent. I stand as the porter and I strip the mask. Hear the wisdom that ends lynchings of the heart. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. That was not poetic charity. It was accurate diagnosis. The one who struck, lied, withheld, betrayed, were they not in that moment instruments through which suggestion operated? We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, and the battlefield is always consent. I do not say the act was right, I say the doer in that act was not the cause. If I make them, because I enthrone a second power and bind myself to their picture, if I depersonalize the error, I can love the person and refuse the suggestion. This is how I end the warfare without abandoning righteousness. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. Let it come close to home. A sharp word pierces you. I do not make an altar to that face. I refuse to let their outburst define my peace or my identity. I say within, a suggestion demanded a voice and borrowed theirs. I withdraw agreement that it has any law in me or in them. I may set a boundary. I may speak a corrective word, but I do it without hate, because hate is merely my consent in reverse. A betrayal cuts deep. The old habit wants a villain to carry the weight. No, I lay the weight at the impersonal level where it belongs. Mesmerism, world thought, fear, ignorance, seeking a host. I do not excuse, I release. Father, forgive them. That word is not weakness. It is mastery, because it returns cause to the one and frees me from the rope that ties me to the scene. Now to the body, for many crucify themselves upon its symptoms as if a judge had spoken sentence. I tell you tenderly, your body is not a court, it is a scream. It reports interpretations, impressions, consented to fears, borrowed forecasts. It is effect. It is not punishing you, and there is no God behind a lash. Neither hath this man sinned, nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. Do you feel the relief? The symptom is not a moral verdict, it is a picture. I neither hate it nor worship it. I do not call it my punishment. I do not accept its gavel. I return to I. I let the gentle recognition of cause quiet the nerves. As resistance drops, the body is freed from its role as messenger of a lie. It follows the new government without drama, because effect must answer to cause. I must confess, for I do not teach theories. I teach what I have had to practice. I have looked at a face and made it the devil. I have looked at a mirror and made it the judge. And sometimes, even now, the old soldier in me wants a fight, but I know how to snap out of it. I say within, this is impersonal. I release the person. I release myself. I refuse to be a battlefield for suggestions that have no father. Perfect love casteth out fear. Love here is not sentiment. It is the recognition of the one that leaves no second power to fear, no enemy to feed. Do you see what happens as blame drops, resistance drops? And when resistance drops, recognition has room. The heart that is not arming itself is available to see. The mind that is not compiling the case is quiet enough to receive impartation. The beggar has no prosecutor to keep him famous. He fades for lack of mention. This is why the master could heal in a crowd. He met no bad people, no bad bodies, only pictures without authorship trying to borrow a name. He granted none. Neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more. The condemnation was unnecessary because the recognition removed the engine. Take one relationship and one symptom right now. Say of the person, they are not my cause. We both live under one. I withdraw my hatred and keep my boundary in love. Say of the body, this is not my judge. I withdraw my fear and stay at my post. Breathe the name gently. Let I ride the exhale without theatrics. In the softened atmosphere, you will feel the ease. Recognition becomes natural because the inner sky is clear. And when next the urge rises to crown a villain or condemn yourself, answer without delay, no person is my enemy, no self is my culprit, error is impersonal, God alone is cause, I and my Father are one. In that oneness, there is no one left to hate and nothing left to fight, only the quiet government of I and the harmony that follows. Now I show you the crux, where the whole path changes from problem-solving to presence. I will not bid for an answer from a condition, for conditions have no answers. I seek recognition. Recognition is not positive thinking. Recognition is not denial. Recognition is not bargaining. If this goes away, then I will believe. Recognition is seeing what is already spiritually true until the false claim cannot stand. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Not argue the truth, know it. And how do I know? I abide in I until cause is so evident that the question loses breath. You have noticed how darkness behaves when you turn on a light? You do not negotiate with it. You do not demand its reasons. You do not even watch it retreat. You simply see, and by seeing, there is no darkness to discuss. That is recognition. When I stand in the gentle eye, the one presence is cause. The conditions argument collapses because it was only ever a sentence waiting for my mouth to speak it. I withhold the mouth, I hold to I. In him we live and move and have our being. I live there, I move there. And the question, what shall I do about this? What does this mean? How long will this last? Cannot find a listener understand the mechanics of this miracle so you will trust it. A condition is an effect seeking a host. It knocks and says, let me be thy cause. If I open the door in fear or fascination, I feed it with my consent. If I stand as the porter in recognition, I do not slam with violence, I simply do not sign. The one presence as cause fills the room. There is no debate, and therefore there is no resistance, and therefore there is no counter pressure to inflame the picture. The question dissolves because it had no substance apart from my search for its answer. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? When light is my fact, fear has no office. Now, yes, the senses will ask for proof. Sometimes the body shifts at once quietly, naturally, as a servant reorders furniture when the true householder returns. Sometimes it changes by degrees, as morning unpacks the night in tender increments. But mark me, the immediate healing is the loss of fear and the end of compulsion. The nervous checking stops. The calendar ceases to rule. The urge to Google the verdict, to measure, to forecast, loosens its claws. The governance has returned. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. That peace is the sign that cause has been recognized. The mind is not working at the problem, the heart is resting in the one. I speak from practice, not pretense. Many times I have gone hunting for the condition's answer. I would press it, why, when, how, and feel the soul grow thin. Then I remember, I do not need its answer. I need only to see so clearly that the question itself is exposed as a shadow without a lamp. I turn, I abide, I feel I rising from the chest, nearer than breath, and in that instant the interrogation leaves me. Sometimes the picture remains for a while, as an after-image remains when the eyes close, but its jurisdiction has ended. I am no longer its officer. The compulsion to serve it is gone, and without my service, it has no payroll. Therefore, I fix our next step, for revelation must be secured by practice, or it floats away like fragrance on the wind. Recognition needs a doorway, the body understands, a way to return when the mind slips back to bargaining. We will take breathing itself as our ally. We will let I ride the exhale until the mind's appetite for the conditioned story is satisfied with something nearer and sweeter than answers. Be still and know that I am God. In that stillness, close, rhythmic, present, the truth remains not as a thought, but as the atmosphere in which thoughts cannot quarrel. We begin there and we return there until even the suggestion of a question cannot find us at home. Now we do exactly what I said. We let breathing become the doorway through which dominion is felt, not argued. Sit in a way the body does not have to negotiate, feet easy on the floor or legs at rest, hands quiet, eyes soft or closed without pressure. I do not try to breathe. I notice that breath is already occurring, and I make of it a sacrament. On the next exhale, I let the word I ride the breath, not with force, not with volume, not as a swashbuckler, but as the gentlest acknowledgement of what is already true. Breathe out softly and whisper within, I do not add am. Do not decorate it. Only I. Then allow the inhale to come of itself. Do not pull, receive. Again on the exhale, I. Always on the exhale, always without strain. Now travel quietly as one walking a beloved garden at dawn. I lift awareness to the head, not to interrogate it, not to fix it, but to let I be felt there as presence. On the exhale, I notice the forehead soften. I do not measure. I simply witness. I let awareness rest behind the eyes, the little theater where old pictures like to play, and I say on the breath, I. The curtain lowers without an argument. I let attention move to the throat, the gate of speech. Many troubles have passed these lips. Now I make of them a sanctuary. I set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the door of my lips. The jaw loosens, the neck unarms. I travel into the chest. Place, if you wish, the lightest touch of a hand there, not to press, but to befriend. On the exhale, I. Here the word rises of itself. Here it is closer than breathing. I do not conjure warmth, I notice it. I do not summon life, I discover it living me. In him we live and move and have our being, down to the solar plexus now, the old storehouse of alarms. I do not argue with it, I do not diagnose it, I only bear witness I. The knot has no law, it cannot keep its shape in this recognition. I let awareness broaden through the belly, the hips, the legs, not as a searchlight hunting faults, but as sunlight that simply is. If a place calls attention, I do not call it mine. I breathe the same word there, I, and let it be included in one. The sign that you are succeeding is not fireworks. It is hush. The breathing slows by itself until it is almost imperceptible. There grows a sweet pause at the edge of the exhale before the inhale returns like the tide. The mind forgets to rehearse the story of the condition. The body ceases to petition. A quiet assurance takes the throne. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. You will feel it, not a sentence you repeat, but a government you rest under. Shoulders fall of their own accord. The face gives back the years you were borrowing to worry with. The heart moves without your counsel, and you are not afraid. Remain a little while in this. Do not time it with a clock. Let I ride 3, 5, 10 exhales until the sense of being becomes more interesting than the claim. When thoughts knock, greet them without rising. When the old compulsion reaches for its tools, analysis, forecasting, research, answer simply on the breath, I, and watch the hand fall open. Be still and know that I am God. Be still is instruction. Know is result. The stillness is not hollow. It is inhabited. Now we test recognition in life because truth that cannot go to the door with you isn't truth for you yet. Keep one breath available at all times, one conscious exhale within reach. The phone vibrates with a message that used to rule your nerves. Do not read it first. Breathe out, I. Then look from cause, not toward it. A sensation rises in the body with its old demand. Do not fix your gaze upon it. Breathe out, I, and let the sensation report into this presence. A memory walks in with a prosecutor's tone. Before you stand to defend, breathe out, I, and feel the gavel removed. In these tiny obediences, the habit changes. Attention, which was your consent, is returned to the one. The mind loses its addiction to the conditioned story because something nearer, sweeter, more native than narrative is being tasted. That is your evidence. That is your protection. Practice this through your day, 3 breaths before you answer. 1 breath at doorways, 1 breath when you sit, 1 breath when you rise. Train the body to recognize this government as home. Long, long periods of practice are not punishment, they are companionship. And when the hour comes that the claim tries again to enthrone itself, you will have a living way back, not an argument, not a fight, but a breath. And on that breath, the name I. Now, I must speak as plainly as I can, because I will not deceive you, and I will not let you deceive yourself. Sometimes the claim returns, and sometimes for a few minutes or an hour it may even dominate again. I have had my long, long periods of practice, and yet sometimes a suggestion still slips past the porter and begins to rearrange the furniture. I do not dramatize it. I do not make a theology of failure. I snap out of it. And I want you to know exactly what I mean by snap out of it, not a violent wrenching, not a swashbuckler's flourish, but the simple reoccupation of the seat you never truly left. Here is the formula, quiet and exact. First, I recognize suggestion. I name it as a suggestion, not as a cause. A thought is presenting. A mood is knocking. A forecast is performing. I do not call it mine. Second, I label it impersonal. I say within. This is mesmerism, world belief, rumor, seeking a host. No person is to blame, not even this person called me. There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus. Condemnation is itself only another suggestion trying to wear holiness. I unmask it. Third, I return to the gentle I. I do not brace. I breathe out and let the word ride, the exhale, I. I place my awareness again in the center of the chest where I is nearer than breathing. Fourth, I resume portership at the door of thought. Nothing enters here that defileth, because I stay in the porter. I reassume my God-given dominion, not as a feat of will, but as fidelity to what is already true. Now see the trap that keeps many circling for years. Self-condemnation, pretending to be humility. The mind whispers, you should have known better. See, you lost it. God is tired of you. That is not repentance. That is idolatry. It treats a feeling as a cause and enthrones it with pious vocabulary. I refuse it on sight. If our heart condemn us, God is greater than our heart. I answer softly, no. I did not lose the one. I merely lost my awareness of the one. I have not fallen out of I. I only nodded at a rumor. Awake, thou that sleepest. I rise not to fight the picture, but to sit again where I belong. Return unto thy rest, O my soul, for the Lord hath dealt bountifully with thee. Do you see how gentle this is? Put up thy sword. Do not punish the body for reporting what you consented to for a moment. Do not punish the neighbor for voicing the world thought you both were breathing. Do not punish yourself for having a human history. Humanhood is only the sense of separation, and senses change. I simply withdraw consent wherever I lent it. Body, money, man, time, heredity, mood, and I say, cause is one. I and the Father are one. The breath bears witness. The shoulders drop without argument. The pace of thought lessens. The throne is occupied. Now, yes, sometimes you will discover that you have been in the story 10 minutes before, you remember, sometimes 2 hours, sometimes a day, 70 times 7. We are licensed to forgive, and that includes this self you once accused. Each return is not a failure. It is strength training. With each gentle reoccupation, the pathway is laid deeper, and stability grows. Habit becomes your ally. What was once an emergency drill becomes reflex. You will find, to your quiet joy, that recognition begins to precede the surge. The claim rises, and there is nothing to hook because you are already home. I confess, sometimes it still tries to get the best of me. A sentence arrives with an old authority. A face tightens, a number bristles, and for a breath I am watching the surface as if it were my life. But not for long. I know the way back. I do not argue. I do not research. I do not beg. I breathe out. I withdraw consent. I stand porter. And the spell which lived on my attention finds the room emptied of worship and departs without drama. Peace I leave with you. That peace, not the picture's speed of change, is my evidence that dominion has been reoccupied. Therefore, do not fear the return of the claim. Take it as the bell that calls you to your post. Make the same simple movements. Recognize suggestion. Depersonalize it. Breathe the gentle eye. Resume portership until they stand up in you of themselves. Long, long periods of practice are not a sentence. They are the slow fidelity by which recognition becomes your default. And when it is your default, the claim may still knock, but it cannot find you at home. Now, I must not confine what has been recognized to me and my little circle, for that would be to take the royal robe of I and sew it into a private jacket. I refuse to do it. The I that breathes me is not my possession. It is the self of all. Therefore, whatever appears as health, supply, life, intelligence, these are not private parcels fenced off by personality. They are the infinity of good, that is God, showing forth as all. All mine are thine, and thine are mine. Do you hear it? There is no my health and thy health, no my supply and thy supply. There is one life, one substance, one law, one cause, and that one is the sufficiency of every expression. I and the Father are one, because I am the only self. I am thyself. My interests are your interests. To bless you is to bless myself. To deprive you would be to dam my own stream. I then must reverse the entire economics of fear. Scarcity is the child of a lie, the lie that there are many selves, many causes, many sources competing for a fixed pie. I deny it. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. Fullness cannot be quartered by names and addresses. When I stand in I see supply not as coins and contracts, but as the ceaseless outpouring of the one, and effects rearrange themselves to mirror recognition. Quarreling, suing, manipulating, hoarding, these are nothing but worship services to a second power. I withdraw my congregation. Why would my left hand sue my right hand? Why would my foot withhold from my eye? We are one body, for we being many are one bread and one body. In that body, each member's good is the other's good, and no member impoverishes another by being what it is. Now let me make this operative so you cannot mistake the way. A bill arrives. I do not consult a person as cause. I do not flatter a boss into godhood. I do not bruise the self with panic. I look within and say, supply is I. Channels may appear as client, as friend, as idea, as adjustment, but I do not deify the channel. My God shall supply all your need according to his riches in glory by Christ Jesus. Do you notice the pronoun? Our need, not my greed. Prayer that seeks a private hoard is idolatry. It separates me from my neighbor and then asks God to bless the separation. I will not sign such a petition. Give us this day our daily bread. There is no private bakery in the kingdom. When I recognize this, generosity ceases to be a virtue and becomes common sense. I cannot impoverish myself by letting the river flow through the banks it chose. And health, mark this well, health does not belong to a personality. Health is the wholeness of I expressed as organism. If I call it mine in separation, I have already introduced the seed of fear. For what is mine can be lost to yours. But when I feel I, the life of all flesh, I am the law of this body and of every body as one, rivalry has no foothold. I do not fear another's gain as my loss. I do not fear another's claim as my depletion. Love then becomes practical governance. Love worketh no ill to his neighbor. Why? because neighbor's not other. Neighbor's my own self by another name. If I wrongfully deprive anyone of good, I am depriving myself. And if I bless, I am enriched. This is not poetry. It is the arithmetic of oneness. I confess I too had to unlearn the world's bargaining. I once thought my table would be emptier if yours were full. But in practice I found the opposite. The more I trusted one as cause, the more needs dissolved into sufficiency, and the less I could even imagine competing with my own self. I ceased to sharpen arguments. I ceased to hoard. I ceased to push, and supply appeared in unimagined forms because the river found a bed free of dams. Freely ye have received, freely give. Freely is the law of being. Grasping is the myth of separation. Therefore I take us to our next schooling, for truth must be seen acted to become natural. I will show you how life is already functioning as I, without anxiety all around you, how there is no scrambling in the grass for a ration of green, no lawsuit among the branches of a tree for sun, no private contract in the lily's bloom. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. Watch with me how I provides without rivalry, and let that sight restore the mind from fear to recognition. Come now and watch with me, not as a tourist of wonders, but as one recognizing his own self at work. Look at the tree outside your window, or if there is no tree, take a single leaf. You remember? A blade of grass, a potted stem. Do you notice any strain in it? Do you detect the committee planning next week's sap? Yet rise it does. My Father worketh hitherto, and I work. Without anxiety, without bargaining, without a second cause, life rises, circulates, transpires. Consider also the lily, for the Master insisted we look there. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. There is governance here, silent, exact, uninterested in panic. That governance is I. Turn your eye to the sky paths. Birds are already charting distances you and I would fear to drive, and they do it without maps because something nearer than thought is their law. Behold the fowls of the air. They neither sow nor reap, and yet they are fed by the same presence that moves your breath. Look at your own hands. The nails lengthen, the skin renews, a cut draws its edges together, not because you stood as foreman over molecules, but because I am the life of this flesh. He giveth his beloved sleep. Even in sleep the work goes on, faithful, tireless, free of your anxious supervision. Why then would I enthrone a condition as cause when every twig and tendon testifies that cause is already occupied? Make it intimate, for I do not point to nature to exclude you, but to include you so fully that fear has no seat left. The law that lifts the sap is the law of your circulation. The wisdom that times the swallow's departure is the quiet clock of your breath. The patience that opens the peony is the patience unfolding your understanding. I and the Father are one. Therefore, I am the vine sap of this body, the intelligence of its repair, the rhythm of its rest. I do not say I have the power to fix a problem. I say I am life expressing, and life is intact. When life is recognized as I, the appearance yields to law as ice yields to spring. Do not reach now for a sword of power. Put up thy sword. Power language excites the ego to perform. Being dissolves the need to perform. Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature? Not by anxious addition does harmony appear, but by recognition of what is. I then am the bread of life to this moment. I then am the law of balance to this system. I then am the quiet government that leaves nothing to compete and no effect to pretend it is cause. Let us seal this seeing with a simple act. Find one living thing within sight, a plant, a tree, a patch of sky. even the slow river of people passing a window. On the next exhale, whisper within, I. Say softly, not with display, I am the life here, I am the law here. I am the quiet, effortless governance here. Do not imagine beams shooting, simply recognize one. Then lay a hand lightly on your chest and let the same word rise, I. The life here and the life there are not two. Feel the shoulders ease, not because a symptom has reported victory, but because you have refused to let an effect be your cause. In him we live and move and have our being. In that living, moving, being, anxious management has no office. Now the assignment that turns this from inspiration into continuity, 3 times each day for 7 days, pause to witness life acting without anxiety and claim it as I. In the morning, at a window or doorway, watch a tree, cloud, or bird, and on 3 exhales speak within, I, then I am the life here, I am the same life in me. At midday, touch a leaf, feel your pulse, or notice the quiet growth of your own nails, and say, cause is one. I withdraw consent from every second cause. In the evening, before sleep, step outside if you can and listen, no commentary. Just 1 minute of I on the breath, letting the night's order minister to you. If a claim intrudes, do not argue. Look again at anything living and let it preach. There is no hurry in God. The mind will learn by these sightings what the heart already knows. Life is functioning as I. And as that recognition stabilizes, effects fall back to their right place, pictures that change while cause remains your peace. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee. Stay then, and let the world around you tutor you in your own self until even the suggestion of fear cannot find a home. Now we make this a life, not a moment. Sustained recognition is the protection. When the mind will not host a false cause, the condition has nowhere to live. Therefore, I set our simple schedule not as a law to keep God with us, but as a way to keep us with God conscious, steady, present in I. In the morning, before the feet negotiate with the floor and before the hand consults the glass screen, I sit 3 to 5 minutes and assume my post. I let the first clear breath carry the name on the exhale, I, again I, again I. I do not decorate it, I do not perform. I remember I and the Father are one. I take my seat as porter and tiler over mind and body. I say within, nothing shall enter here that defileth. No prognosis, no comparison, no gossip, no fear. My voice shalt thou hear in the morning, O Lord. In the morning will I direct my prayer unto thee, and will look up. I look up, meaning I do not look out to effects as cause. I look into I as cause, and in that looking I assume conscious dominion for the day. Through the day, I keep watch with tiny obediences. Before I answer a message that stirs the blood 1 breath, I. Before I open a bill 1 breath, I. Before I speak a word of opinion 1 breath, I. And set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the door of my lips. When a sensation rises, trying to enthrone itself as cause, I do not fight it. I do not own it. I label it impersonal suggestion, and I withdraw consent. On the exhale, I. When a rumor enters the room and begs to be repeated, I decline sanctuary. I am the porter. I do not slam the door. I fail to sign the lease. Pray without ceasing is not chatter. It is returning quietly 100 times a day to the exhale where I is nearer than breathing. Doorways are my bells, 1 breath as I enter, 1 breath as I leave. The steering wheel is my bell, 1 breath before I drive. The fork in my hand is my bell, 1 breath before I eat. Habit becomes devotion, and devotion becomes environment. In the evening, I close the books. 10 minutes, not to audit results, but to release the world thought I may have unwittingly inhaled. I sit, I let, I ride the exhale. I travel again through head, throat, chest, belly, not to fix, but to witness. If the day accuses, I refuse its sermon. If our heart condemn us, God is greater than our heart. I do not rehearse the claim, I rehearse the cause. He giveth his beloved sleep. I yield to that gift. The body is not a problem to be solved by a tired mind. It is the branch abiding in the vine. I abide, and the vine keeps its law. This is the mental discipline. I will not entertain fear. I will not subsidize prognostication. I will not gossip about a brother or about my own tomorrow, for judge not is also a shield over my house. I will not compare my portion to yours, for there is no my supply and thy supply. There is only the infinity of good. If a second power knocks economy, germ, time, heredity, I answer from one. Cause is I. I am not a swashbuckler. I am a witness. The gentle eye heals. And what shall be the fruit? Renewal, restoration, resurrection, not promised to a future calendar, but flowering in this very recognition. Behold, I make all things new. New seeing, new ease, new order. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. Wait does not mean delay. It means attend. As I attend, the old man, the sense of separation, the idol of effects passes, and the new man, Christed identity, appears as natural government. I am the resurrection and the life, not will be. Am. Recognition is resurrection. The question loses breath, the compulsion loses wages, the picture loses authority, and peace takes the throne. Therefore, this is our seal and our safety. Morning, I assume my post. Day long, I return on the breath. Evening, I lay it all down and rest in one. I will not host a false cause. I will not lend my mouth or my mind to a rumor. I dwell in I, and by dwelling I live untroubled by effects demanding worship. I rest, I remember, I recognize, and the condition being only an effect dissolves in the light of what I am.